So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to network with high profile individuals. I'm talking about high net worth individuals, very senior executives that have done billion-dollar deals and even royalties. Okay, so in the last couple of years, I have managed to network with a man who was one of the richest men in UK, one of the richest refugees in UK. He was worth around 500 million pounds. Okay, and I've also networked with individuals who were worth around $200 million. I am in business partnerships with several high-profile executives in UAE, and I'm a founder of a healthcare investment company that acquires other healthcare assets. So on a very regular basis, I have been meeting with multi-millionaires at the very minimum. Okay, that's the minimum level. I've also met with the Senator of Netherlands through one of my contacts. I've met royal family members, and my access to high net worth individuals and individuals that are in powerful positions is actually very deep, but I have not accessed that network yet. On top of that, I have a lot of networking skills that have allowed me to bring these individuals together. You can see this on my Instagram profile. I have literally short pictures with them, and you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how do you network with high profile individuals, and I'm going to give you a framework how to do that and how I did it. Okay, so first thing is the venue, the location. You have to be positioned in a location which have high net worth individuals in high quantities. So typically high net worth individuals will be around affluent nations. So places like United States of America, UK, even Canada. Every country, every city probably has several high net worth individuals that are very private. So location is important, and but it doesn't matter. Even if you are from a smaller city, you will still have opportunity. It's much better if you're in a major city like London, New York, Dubai, Hong Kong, Tokyo, where places where there are stock exchange markets, because wherever there is a stock exchange market, there are companies listed there, and typically high net worth individuals have their companies listed on the stock exchange markets. And this is the reason you see so many high net worth individuals in New York, in London, even in Dubai. In Dubai, Monaco, these are the places which are very, very hot. Even China, Tokyo will have a lot of high net worth individuals. So first thing is the location. You have to be in a location where these individuals go. These individuals do not go to cheap locations. The second aspect, which is an extension of the location, is the venue. Once again, they only go to top venues. They do not go to cheap venues. So my recommendation would be to not go to cheap venues at all. And these types of venues, they go to venues that have a high barrier to entry. So they will go to venues that have maybe a cover charge or like a private members club, which has a high price point to even enter, because they don't want to associate with normal people. They want to be in their circle, and they want to associate and build relationships with money, or they want to do charity, but there is no in between. Okay, so either they want to meet with other high profile individuals, or they want to meet with someone who's very enthusiastic and ambitious and have big dreams and goals and big visions for the future. They will associate with that person, or they will associate with other high profile individuals, or they prefer to do charity. There is no in between. So either they are in high end venues or charities. Okay, so it's a very closed network of individuals. It's not a coincidence that when I met a former CEO of a $3.5 billion company, I met him in Burj Al Arab. which is a 7-star hotel, and I went to a Rotary meeting where the price point just to enter, just to be in the room without, I think without food, it was around $150, $200 for, a couple of hours. And it was incredible setting, and it was no accident that he was there as a speaker, and it was no accident that there were several high net worth, several high profile executives and high net worth individuals in the room, and he was one of the most powerful figures, and I met him there. Another example, when I met the entrepreneur, the businessman who was worth around 500 million pounds, and he had a private jet actually. I met him in Bangalore in a very high-end health club, and even within that high-end health club there were tiers of packages, and I was in the top package, and the people in the top package were eating at a certain place. So once again, the factor of the barrier to entry played an important role here, is because they will go out of their way to pay a little bit extra so that they can meet with other people who can or who are willing to pay a little bit extra. So you got to go a little bit extra mile to pay that premium price, not because of the service, but because of the networking opportunity that are there in those venues. For example, if you go to Formula 1 racing, you want to be at the top package, because then it's a very high likelihood that you will meet someone important. And at that venue in Bangalore, there was another high net worth individual who was actually had a real estate portfolio of $1 billion in India. And these two individuals met at a charity event. And they connected with each other. So charity events, high-end locations which have a high barrier to entry. The higher the barrier to entry, the better it is. I cannot emphasize this. There is a club in UAE called the Arts Club. Okay, and it's a members only club, and I think you have to pay a couple of $1,000s every year just to be members there. And my chairman once took me to that venue. The former CEO of a $3.5 billion company invited me for lunch there, and that club was absolutely beautiful. And I saw there on tables, people were sort of like keeping an eye on each other, like kind of like in an agreement with each other, in an affinity with each other. That okay, these are the people, we are the people who have made it, and it was not a coincidence that when he took me there, he knew a lot of people there. So people come there often. So another thing what you want to do is you want to go to these venues often, and you want to feel comfortable, because you will be uncomfortable in these venues, and there's nothing wrong about it. Very few people can afford to be in these venues. So when you are there and you feel a bit of a discomfort, that's okay. You will get used to it and you will get comfortable, and that has to be your new normal. Okay, so at that venue, I saw, people wearing, $200,000 watches, Richard Mille, if some of you know, and very, very high-end crowd. Women that were so beautiful that you don't get to see, even in Dubai, in the normal venues, you don't get to see those women, and you don't get to see those men. So there is a reason why my chairman was paying such a high price point, is because of the networking opportunity that comes from it. So venue is important. The other thing is how you look. That's extremely important. You gotta get yourself a 3-piece suit and a nice silk tie. This tie is by Hermes, and this suit is by Paul Zelleri, and it was something I could not afford, but I stretched my budget just to be able to buy this. And obviously when you stretch your budget, you work on your career and you increase your income, and then you can actually feel comfortable at that level. I'm going to be increasing increasing my budget for suits even more significantly, because I have seen what it does when you wear a good suit. I cannot tell you how many people, even like many senior executives, they can easily afford an expensive suit. But because they're so focused on work and getting things done, they kind of forget about it. I had one of my business partners, he said, my wife just gets me the suit, I don't bother with it. But you know what, since the time I've seen you, I'm thinking about going and getting myself a nice suit. So he has such a big track record. It was another business partner, not my chairman, but someone else. And he said, I see you, it's great, you look great. And even the company he worked at previously, which was a $400 million company, even the owner of that company was not wearing expensive suit because he didn't care. He was, super rich. But it gives a very powerful impression, and you're making a statement. And a lot of the rich people, even I know, they don't dress up like this. But when you do, it really makes a strong statement and you stand out. So make sure that suit that you're going to buy, it's a little bit, you got to stretch it. Even if you have to buy 1 or 2 suits, that's okay. But get the best one that you can. So 3-piece suits are important. Tie and a pocket square is again important because you want to look like someone in control, in charge, someone in authority. If you look at presidents of countries, they are almost always wearing a tie and a pocket square. They're not messing around. They are going there with an intention to accomplish something. So you've got to come across as someone who has an intention to do something big. You're up to something, you're on to something. And it's not just about giving impression. You have to be the person who is up to something big. And again, this brings me back to my fundamental principle that I've been talking in my videos about, is you got to have big dreams and big goals. And you have to have an intention to achieve those goals. So having that as the genesis and choosing the venue and the suit will put you in a very advantageous position in those environments. The other thing to remember is that your past is not as important as your future. You're not going into your past, you're going into the future. And I have seen this sort of mindset block in a lot of people, is that they think what they have done in the past is what's important. That is over. It's finished. You've done it. You've done it or you did not do it. Okay, that's over. What you are moving towards is way more important. So when you meet someone, I usually talk about where I'm heading. Not what I've done, but where I'm heading. Okay, in high net worth, in these locations. For example, when I met my chairman, who was a former CEO of a $3.5 billion company in Burj Al Arab in the 7-star hotel, he asked me, "What do you do?" And I told him, "I'm the founder of a healthcare investment company that will be bringing several family businesses in healthcare together to form a major group in UAE." It was one sentence. Okay, I wasn't vague about, I'm founder of Vital Gates. I didn't say that. I said I'm a founder of a healthcare company that will be bringing, 20 to 30 family businesses together into a one unified group. So that was my vision, right? And I communicated my vision. And your vision has to be big. If your vision is small, I have a small restaurant somewhere, or I have a whatever, it doesn't really make that statement. You have to have, even if you are in the restaurant business, you got to have a big vision in that. So you got to have a big vision, and you have to have an intention to fulfill that vision. It cannot just be a lot of talk, okay? So I said that, and suddenly I saw his eyebrows raise, and he was kind of intrigued and interested. And that's when we shared our contact, and I asked him, "What do you do?" And he said, "Have you heard about this company?" And I said, "Yes, I have the SIM card of that company. I know that company is very famous." And he said, "I'm the CEO of the company. And I just retired now, a few weeks ago." And that's how we met. And I made him part of the vision that I had, and we created a value proposition between each other, and it has worked out pretty well. So the other thing is, when you have a big vision, you gotta have a value proposition. There are two ways to connect with people. One thing is the value proposition, the other thing is the shared interest. You gotta have shared interests with people, and that's what creates rapport, right? You gotta have commonalities between them. Maybe you play golf. If you don't play golf, you can start learning it. Maybe you play tennis. Maybe you like a travel destination. Maybe you are into food, right? Maybe you're into fine dining. Whatever that thing is, maybe you're into fashion or art, but whatever it is that your interest is, it has to match with the person that you're talking to. So you got to start building relationships with people based on shared interest and value proposition. And one of the things that I usually bond with men is I will somehow, this is in personal relationships, and when I meet in, this is not in the business life, but in my personal life, when I meet high net worth individuals, I will connect with them talking about beautiful women, because that's one aspect in a man's life that we like to talk about, and then there's an instant rapport when that happens. The other thing that men like to collaborate with each other is finance. So that's another thing that I bring up. But I do the women part less in my business world. Sometimes it's not the right thing. But with some people, especially high-powered people, they are a little more liberal. You might think that high-powered people are very strict, but it's just the opposite. The more the high-powered individual, the more relaxed and the more entertaining and the more entertained that person is going to be. So the other thing that you want to do is, you don't want to be too serious around these individuals. You want to be humorous, you want to be entertaining, and that's actually a signal, a status signal, that you're giving out that you're comfortable around them and you're comfortable in the environment, and it's okay for you to make a joke, and it's okay for you to be a little bit humorous and witty. So that also works very, very well. Rather than being too serious and too, uptight about things, you got to be more relaxed and humorous. The other thing I would do is, you don't want to put these individuals on a pedestal. Yes, they have accomplished big things in life, but they're also most likely at the end of their life. Okay, so they have had a whole life. And if you're a young person, nobody is expecting you to be super rich. Okay, and they probably were not rich when they were your age, especially if they are first generation, entrepreneur. So they have seen humble beginnings. So you don't have to necessarily pretend to be someone you're not, because nobody is expecting you to be rich. But it's important that you have a plan and a vision, right? One of the individuals I networked with, he was worth around $200 million. Again, he wears a Richard Mille, which is a $200,000 watch, and he drives a nice Ferrari, and he was giving me a ride, and he asked me, Prithvi, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So he was curious about the vision that I have. He didn't ask me where I come from, because that doesn't make a shit. He wanted to know where I'm heading. And we almost always, we start talking about the past. It's gone, it's done, it's finished. So, they might be a little bit curious about knowing what you did before, but that's less important than your future. And if they see you're a young person, they don't expect a lot that you've done in the past. Okay, it's not a job interview. So don't start making it a job interview, okay? Okay. The other thing is, you don't want to put them on a pedestal, but you don't want to disrespect them. You don't want to be braggadocious or try to demean them, disrespect them, or make a comment that can piss them off just to look cool. You don't have to look cool, and you don't have to disrespect anybody. You got to make sure that you have mutual respect. This is not just with high status individuals. This is also with people who are working in that venue, or people who are in a subordinated position than you. in the society. You want to make sure you even speak with them with respect. Why? Because these individuals are watching you, and if they see that you have a bias towards people who are rich and you are giving respect here but you are disrespecting here, then they know that you're really not respecting them, you're respecting their position in life, and they instantly don't trust you, because you cannot be trusted, because you are really giving them the respect because of their status. And if that person was in their shoes, the other person's shoes, you would disrespect them too. So they see that your respect is based on status, which is not a good sign. You want to give respect to all human beings, and it has to be genuine, it has to be from the heart, and you also have to come across that you are a respectful individual. It doesn't matter at what level. I have seen most of the high profile individuals, particularly the high profile individuals, they are very, very respectful to the staff, to the waiters. I have not seen them complain, put some pressure on people. I've not seen them. They're very good to be around, actually. You might be surprised. So that's, so those are the guidelines around being around these individuals. Is the venue, the vision, the dressing up in suits, and having value proposition. So the other thing is that for them to be interested in what you're doing, you have to offer them some incentive. Okay, people are not there necessarily to go out of their way to help you. So don't ask any favors from these people. You want to avoid at all costs asking for a favor. In fact, what you want to do is the opposite. You want to make their life, you want to add value to their life. You want to always go in with an attitude of adding value to their life, and you have to come with that disposition. You have to come with that attitude of offering value, and you have to have something of value, and what could be of value is your vision, and your vision has to be something they are interested in, and then you have a value proposition and you have a good relationship. So a lot of people think that you have to be at the same status of the person that you're talking to be their friend or to associate with them, but that's not the case. You have to have value proposition with each other to have a relationship, and there is no reason why you cannot create a powerful vision and create a value proposition. The final factor in this whole piece of puzzle is your career. Okay, the first thing they're going to ask you is, what do you do? So you want to make sure that you make a very powerful impression, and if you are someone who's working at a job, and because ultimately 8 to 10 hours a day we are in a job, right? We are working, we have to work, right? We have to work. So you got to make sure that you can go to high-end venues and you can try to network while you have a job and you don't have any other project in mind, but what's going to be the value proposition with them? There is no value proposition, because they will not be part of your life. We bond as human beings with each other based on the future, the agreed upon common future that we are going to have together. That's what all relationship is based on. It's a future-based conversation. A relationship is a future-based conversation. Are we heading in the same direction? Like I remember in The Godfather 3, he says we must head in the same direction. So you got to make sure that you're heading in the same direction. If you both do not have a synergy and a value proposition, why would they associate themselves with you? So you want to make sure that even if you're doing a job right now, you got to start working on a project that's much bigger, has a much bigger possibility, and then it will make sense for you to go to these venues and network with these people. So, and eventually you want to make a career transition, because if you are in a normal job 9 to 5 and you're essentially tied up, your time is tied up, you have to go to this office every single day, and even if you make a connection with a high net worth individual, it's not going to go anywhere because you don't have a project in mind. So having a vision for the future that encompasses their interest and everybody's interest, that is what will allow you to bring a lot of people together, a lot of powerful people together. And the bigger that vision, the more the likelihood. I would not have met most of the people I have met, high profile individuals, if I did not have the vision that I have. Okay, and my vision is to acquire several revenue generating assets in healthcare in UAE and GCC. That attracts attention of a lot of people, and when you get into partnerships with these people, they will open up more contacts. And if the vision is big enough, if the pie is big enough, more and more people can join in. And what you will find is you will be in a position where you're surrounded by high profile individuals. And when you start getting more and more surrounded by these individuals, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and more people come in. When more and more people come in, you come into this zone where you're surrounded with abundance. You're surrounded with financial resources. You're surrounded with access to contacts. You're surrounded with expertise and experience, and you're surrounded with high profile individuals. And all of this raises your self-esteem and your self-confidence and how you see yourself and how you feel. Everything changes. Your communication changes, your demeanor changes, your attitude changes, your whole power changes. Your network is your net worth. We heard that. And you are who you hang around with. So you want to cut out. This is only going to happen if you cut out all your friends and most of your family members. And eventually you come up with an idea of a project that's big enough for these individuals to get involved. So that's the full picture of how you network with high profile individuals. So if you love the channel, hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel, it tells the algorithm, and it multiplies the effect of the channel. So I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon.